The massive space station floated like a metal moon above the swirling clouds of Nexus Prime. Inside its great hall, 12 different alien species sat around a circular table that could hold 1,000 beings. The air buzzed with translation, devices working overtime as angry voices filled the chamber. Ambassador Veltar of the Hegemony stood at the center podium. His blue skin glowed brighter when he was upset, and right now he looked like a small star. His 4 arms gestured wildly as he spoke to the assembled council members. "Fellow council members, we can no longer ignore this threat," Veltar announced, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. "The species that calls itself humanity has committed crimes against galactic order." The other ambassadors shifted in their seats. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had scales or fur or skin that changed colors. But they all shared the same concerned expressions as they listened. "Tell us these crimes," demanded Ambassador Kreshta of the Stonewalkers. Her rocky exterior cracked slightly as she leaned forward on the table. Veltar activated a holographic display that showed star maps of the outer galaxy regions. Red dots marked human settlements scattered across dozens of systems. "First crime," he said, pointing at the display. "Unauthorized terraforming of 17 worlds. They changed these planets without asking permission from the rightful galactic authority." Murmurs of disapproval rippled through the assembly. "Second crime. They establish trade routes through council space without permits or payments. They ignore our shipping regulations and customs offices." The murmurs grew louder. "Third and most serious crime. They refuse to acknowledge Galactic Council authority over their actions. When we sent diplomatic messages requesting compliance with galactic law, they sent back polite thank you notes. Nothing more." Ambassador Veltar's skin blazed even brighter. "They treat the Galactic Council like we are some minor local government. This cannot continue." On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Kim Do-yoon sat in his office on Luna Station, Earth's primary military headquarters. The office walls showed a beautiful view of Earth rising over the lunar horizon. Coffee steamed in a simple white mug on his desk next to stacks of daily reports. A soft chime announced an incoming priority message. The Admiral looked up from his morning briefing papers as a holographic projection appeared in front of his desk. The image showed a tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes. "Greetings, Admiral Kim Do-hyun of the Human Military Forces," the alien said in carefully pronounced English. "I am Messenger Yixdel of the Galactic Council Diplomatic Corps. I bring an official communication from the Council to your species." Admiral Kim set down his coffee mug and gave the messenger his full attention. "Good morning, Messenger Yixdel. Please proceed with your message." The alien straightened and began reading from a glowing tablet. "By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, the species known as humanity has been found guilty of multiple violations of galactic law. You have 30 standard days to cease all unauthorized expansion and submit to Council authority. If you do not comply, the Council will consider this a declaration of war." Admiral Kim nodded slowly as he listened. When the messenger finished, he reached for a drawer in his desk and pulled out a simple file folder marked Tuesday Correspondence. "Thank you for delivering this message, Messenger Yixdel," the Admiral said calmly. He placed the war declaration in the folder and put it back in the drawer. "Is there anything else?" The messenger blinked his large eyes several times. He had expected panic, desperate bargaining, or at least some sign of concern. Instead, the human leader acted like he had just received a routine status report. You understand what this means?" Yixdel asked carefully. "The Galactic Council commands fleets of thousands of warships. We represent 12 advanced civilizations with technology spanning millions of years of development." "I understand," Admiral Kim replied. He picked up his coffee mug and took a sip. "Will there be anything else today?" The messenger stood there for several more moments, completely confused by the human's reaction. Finally, he bowed slightly and ended the transmission. Admiral Kim finished his coffee and pressed a button on his desk communicator. "Commander, please come to my office when you have a moment. We received some interesting mail today." 3 levels down from the Admiral's office, Dr. Park Mira was examining soil samples from a recently terraformed world when her computer chimed with a new message. She glanced at the screen and saw it was from her colleague Dr. Nam Yura, with the subject line, "You might find this amusing." Dr. Park opened the message and found a copy of the Galactic Council's war declaration along with a note from Dr. Nam. "Apparently we're supposed to be scared now. Thought you should see this before the news networks get hold of it." Dr. Park read through the demands with growing amusement. The Council wanted humanity to abandon 17 worlds they had spent decades terraforming and move to designated reservation areas under alien supervision. They also demanded that all human space travel be approved by Council authorities. She forwarded the message to 3 more colleagues with her own note. "Anyone else think these aliens don't really understand how humans work?" In the Outer Rim sector, Captain Li Wujin received the war declaration while his ship, the destroyer HMS Seoul, was on routine patrol near the Centauri trade routes. His communications officer, Lieutenant Park Jin-ho, brought him the message during the evening shift change. "Captain, we just received a priority communication from Luna Command," Lieutenant Park reported. "The Galactic Council has declared war on humanity." Captain Lee looked up from the navigation charts he was reviewing. "War? What did we do this time?" "Apparently we've been expanding without permission and ignoring their authority, sir." "I see." Captain Lee considered this for a moment. "How does this change our patrol schedule?" "Command says to maintain normal operations unless we receive specific new orders, sir." "Very well. Anything else interesting happen today?" "Lieutenant?" Park checked his report pad. "The galley received a new shipment of that coffee blend from New Seoul Colony. Chef Kim says it's much better than the last batch." "Now that is good news," Captain Lee said with a smile. "Make sure the crew knows about the coffee. As for this war business, I suppose we'll deal with that when something actually happens." The news of the Galactic Council's ultimatum spread quickly through human space, carried by the quantum communication networks that connected every human world and station. The reaction was remarkably consistent across all human settlements. People noted the information, filed it away as potentially relevant, and continued with their normal activities. On New Seoul Colony, farmers kept tending their crops. On Mars, factory workers kept building the mining equipment that was shipped to asteroid belt operations. Children went to school, merchants ran their shops, and scientists continued their research projects. The aliens who monitored human communication networks found this reaction puzzling. They had expected fear, panic, desperate preparations for war, or at least urgent diplomatic attempts to negotiate. Instead, they observed a species that seemed to view a galactic war declaration as roughly as important as a change in local weather conditions. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this exact situation for over 300 years. Ever since their first contact with hostile alien species, human planners had assumed that eventually, someone would declare war on them. The only surprise was that it had taken this long. Admiral Kim finished reading the daily reports and closed the folder. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight he would sleep peacefully. After all, the Galactic Council had given humanity 30 days to respond. That was more than enough time to handle this minor diplomatic inconvenience. General Thekmore of the Hegemony stood before a massive holographic display in the Council's military planning center. His scaled hands moved across the floating controls as he studied the data his intelligence teams had gathered about humanity. Around him, military advisors from all 12 Council species watched with growing confidence. "The human threat is manageable," General Thekmore announced to the assembled officers. His reptilian features showed the satisfaction of a predator examining easy prey. "Our analysis shows they possess basic fusion drive technology, simple energy, weapons, and small colonial settlements scattered across less than 50 worlds." The hologram displayed images of human ships that Council spy probes had observed. The vessels looked crude and functional compared to the elegant designs of Council fleets. No decorative elements, no artistic flourishes, just simple metal shapes, with engines attached. "Their largest warships appear to be destroyers and light cruisers," the general continued. "Nothing larger than 200 meters. Our intelligence suggests they have fewer than 500 military vessels total." Commander Zilthak of the Crystal Empire raised one of her crystalline arms. What about their defensive capabilities, General? Minimal, Thekmor replied with a dismissive gesture. Their worlds show no signs of planetary defense grids or orbital weapon platforms. Most human colonies appear to be simple agricultural or mining settlements with basic infrastructure. The general switched the display to show human population centers. Their military doctrine seems focused on commerce protection and system patrol. They show no evidence of preparing for large-scale warfare. Even after our declaration, their fleets have made no significant movements or preparations. What General Thekmor's sophisticated sensors could not detect were the massive shipyards hidden deep inside asteroid belts throughout human space. The Council's spy probe saw only mining operations and commercial traffic. They did not recognize that every asteroid with regular ship visits contained manufacturing facilities that had been producing warships for decades. The probes also missed the quantum communication networks that connected every human world instantly. The aliens used faster-than-light messaging systems that took hours or days to send information across the galaxy. Humans had developed communication methods that worked in real time across any distance. Most importantly, the Council intelligence failed to understand what they were actually looking at. Every human civilian transport ship carried enough hidden weapons to destroy a small fleet. Every mining station was actually a fortress. Every research facility was a military base disguised as something harmless. On a small space station that Council records showed as a remote scientific outpost, Ensign Choi Sunho monitored the alien fleet movements on screens that covered an entire wall of the command center. The station, officially designated as Asteroid Research Station 12, was actually one of humanity's most heavily armed defensive positions. Ensign Choi, are you seeing these movement patterns? Asked Major Lee Jamin, the station's commanding officer. Yes, sir, Choi replied, highlighting several sections of the display. The alien fleets are positioning exactly where our strategic planning computers predicted they would. They're following standard Council military doctrine from their own training manuals. Major Lee smiled slightly. How long have we been studying those manuals? Command has been analyzing Council military tactics for 150 years, sir. We have copies of their training materials, tactical handbooks, and strategic planning guides. Some of our intelligence officers know Council doctrine better than the aliens do. The Major walked over to a section of the wall that looked like solid metal. He pressed his hand against a scanner, and the wall slid open to reveal rows of antimatter warheads, each one powerful enough to destroy a moon-sized object. The aliens think this is a research station studying asteroid mineral composition, Major Lee said. They have no idea we have enough firepower here to eliminate their entire invasion fleet. Sir, should we inform the fleet commanders about alien positions? Ensign Choi asked. No need, Ensign. Admiral Kim already knows where they are. Our job is to wait and watch. In a secret facility buried deep under the surface of Mars, Dr. Nam Yura put the finishing touches on humanity's most classified military project. The laboratory around her looked like something from a science fiction story, filled with technology that made Council equipment seem primitive. Project Prometheus is ready for final testing, Dr. Nam announced to the assembled team of scientists and engineers. We've successfully integrated the quantum manipulation drives with the dark matter containment systems. Dr. Kim Sung-ho, the project's chief physicist, reviewed the test data on his screen. The power output is 3 times higher than our most optimistic projections. A single Prometheus-class ship will have more firepower than the entire alien invasion fleet. How many ships are ready for deployment? Asked Colonel Park Jin-woo, the military liaison assigned to the project. 12 ships are fully operational, Dr. Nam replied. Another 30 will be ready within 2 weeks. The automated factories have been producing components for 3 years. Colonel Park nodded with satisfaction. The aliens think our most advanced ships are the destroyers and cruisers they've observed. They have no idea we've been building a completely different class of warship. The Prometheus-class vessels existed in hidden berths throughout human space, invisible to alien sensors and unknown to Council intelligence. Each ship incorporated technology that humanity had developed in secret. combining discoveries from multiple research projects that the aliens didn't even know existed. Meanwhile, Council spy probes continued their surveillance of human space, reporting back what they believed to be complete intelligence about human capabilities. The probes observed children playing in school playgrounds, merchants loading cargo onto transport ships, and farmers working in fields on terraformed worlds. What the probes failed to detect was that many of those children attended schools built inside underground military complexes. The merchants were often retired military officers maintaining cover identities. The farmers had served in special forces units and were more dangerous than most alien soldiers. On New Sol Colony, farmer and former Marine Colonel Han Minji checked the hidden weapons systems concealed in her grain storage buildings. The aliens saw agricultural equipment. She saw missile launchers, energy weapon batteries, and communication arrays that could coordinate planetary defense operations. The Council probes came by again today, she told her neighbor, former Navy Captain Yu Jung-ho, as they shared coffee on her porch. Did they scan the fields? Captain Yu asked. Same as always. They see crops and irrigation systems. They don't recognize military-grade sensor networks and concealed defensive positions. How long do you think before they make their move? Admiral Kim thinks they'll attack within the week, Colonel Han replied. Their fleet positioning suggests they're almost ready. About time, Captain Yu said with a slight smile. It's been boring around here. Back in Council space, General Thekmore completed his final briefing to the assembled fleet commanders. The holographic display showed the planned assault routes to major human worlds, with timing charts and target priorities, clearly marked. The human species will surrender within 2 weeks of our initial assault, the general declared confidently. Their primitive technology and small military forces cannot possibly resist a coordinated attack by 12 advanced civilizations. Admiral Kethavar of the Void Runners asked, what about human reinforcements from their outer colonies? Irrelevant, General Thekmore replied. Our intelligence shows they have no rapid response capabilities. Their communication systems are too slow to coordinate a galaxy-wide defense. By the time their outer colonies know what's happening, the war will be over. The Council fleet commanders returned to their ships with complete confidence in their victory. They commanded over 2,000 warships crewed by the most experienced military personnel in the galaxy. They possessed energy weapons, quantum shields, and faster-than-light drives that represented millions of years of technological development. What they did not possess was any real understanding of their enemy. They saw humans as a young species, with limited technology and small-scale thinking. They expected a brief, easy war followed by the integration of human territory into Council space. The greatest mistake in their analysis was assuming that what they could observe represented the full scope of human capabilities. Council intelligence worked by studying what enemy civilizations chose to display publicly. They had never encountered a species that deliberately hid their true military strength. In 3 days, the Council would launch their attack and discover that humanity's greatest weapon was not superior technology or overwhelming numbers. It was the simple fact that humans had been planning for this exact war for 3 centuries, while the aliens had spent those same centuries becoming comfortable with their own superiority. The stage was set for the most one-sided military conflict in galactic history. Unfortunately for the Galactic Council, they were going to be on the losing side. The Galactic Council's first strike fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the New Busan system, with all the confidence of predators approaching helpless prey. 800 warships arranged themselves in perfect attack formations, their hulls gleaming with the advanced metallurgy of 12 different civilizations. Admiral Kethavar of the Void Runners stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest, and watched the tactical displays show what appeared to be a defenseless, agricultural world. The planet below showed vast fields of grain, simple farm buildings, and small cities connected by basic transportation networks. Begin the assault, Admiral Kethavar commanded. Target the population centers first. We will make an example of this world that will convince the other human colonies to surrender without resistance. The first wave of Council fighters screamed down through New Busan's atmosphere, their pilots confident they were attacking farmers and civilians. What they found instead was the biggest surprise of their military careers. The grain fields erupted, in explosions of earth and metal as concealed missile batteries revealed themselves. Hundreds of surface-to-air weapon systems emerged from underground bunkers disguised as irrigation equipment and farm storage buildings. The sky filled with defensive fire that turned the alien fighter attack into a death trap. Major Sun Tae-hyung, former commander of Earth's Special Forces and current farmer on New Busan, watched the alien fighters fall like rain from his position in what appeared to be a simple farmhouse. The building's basement contained a military command center that would have impressed the Council's best strategists. All defensive positions. This is Harvest Command, Major Sun spoke into his communication headset. Commence Operation Scarecrow. Repeat, Operation Scarecrow is now active. Across the planet, thousands of retired military personnel dropped their farming tools and picked up weapons they had kept clean and ready for exactly this moment. New Busan's civilian population included former Marines, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and Air Force pilots who had volunteered for colony duty, specifically because they knew this day would come. The alien ground troops that landed expecting to face frightened farmers instead found themselves fighting veterans who had spent decades preparing for this battle. Every farm building was a fortress. Every field contained hidden bunkers connected by underground tunnels. Every piece of agricultural equipment was actually military hardware disguised with remarkable creativity. Colonel Park Dae-hyun, officially listed as New Busan's head of agricultural development, led a squad of farmers using a combine harvester that had been modified to carry enough firepower to destroy a tank battalion. The alien troops trained to fight conventional military forces had no idea how to respond to enemies who used farming equipment as weapons platforms. In space above New Busan, the real war was beginning. Admiral Kim Do-hyun arrived with the human response fleet, 12 ships that looked tiny compared to the 800 vessels of the Council Armada. The alien commanders prepared for what they expected to be the quickest space battle in galactic history. They were right about it being quick. They were wrong about who would win. The human ships moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Instead of the stately ceremonial approach favored by Council fleets, the human vessels accelerated and changed direction with impossible speed and precision. Their weapons fired not in the traditional exchange of energy blasts between opposing fleets, but in coordinated strikes that targeted specific systems on multiple enemy ships simultaneously. Captain Yang Hyerin, commanding the cruiser HMS Incheon, demonstrated human naval tactics by using her ship's superior acceleration to dart between 3 Council destroyers, firing precisely targeted shots that disabled their engines and weapon systems in seconds. The alien crews found themselves floating helpless in space before they fully understood what had happened. "This is impossible," Admiral Kethvar said as he watched his tactical display show Council ships being systematically destroyed. "How are they moving so fast? How do they know exactly where to shoot?" His tactical officer, Commander Vextal, studied the sensor readings with growing confusion. "Sir, the human ships appear to be sharing targeting data in real time. Their coordination is perfect. It's as if they're all controlled by a single mind." What the aliens were seeing was the result of 3 centuries of human military development focused on one simple goal: fighting enemies with superior numbers and technology. Human ships were designed to be fast, precise, and efficient. Human tactics emphasized coordination, speed, and the maximum use of firepower to achieve objectives quickly. The Council fleet, trained in the traditional approach of honorable single combat between individual ships, found themselves completely outmatched by an enemy that fought like a single, incredibly deadly organism. Captain Lee Min-jae, commanding the destroyer HMS Busan, found himself surrounded by 6 Council cruisers. Instead of trying to fight his way out, he did something that violated every principle of Council military doctrine. He called for help. Within minutes, 4 other human ships arrived and destroyed all 6 enemy vessels in a coordinated attack that lasted less than 30 seconds. "They fight without honor," complained Commander Elex Moore of the Crystal Empire, as his ship's weapons failed to target the incredibly fast human vessels. "They attack in groups and use superior speed instead of meeting us in fair combat. They fight to win, corrected his sensor operator quietly. We fight to look impressive. The battle's turning point came when Captain Yang Hieren's ship took critical damage from a lucky hit by a Council battleship. Instead of attempting to retreat or surrender, she did something that shocked every alien observer. She evacuated her crew to escape pods and aimed her crippled ship directly at the Council flagship. "This is Captain Yang Hieren of the HMS Incheon to all vessels," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Tell my family I did my duty. Ramming speed." The human cruiser hit the alien flagship at 30% of light speed. The resulting explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away and completely destroyed both vessels. For the Council forces, watching an enemy deliberately sacrifice herself and her ship to eliminate a single target was beyond their understanding of rational military behavior. For the human forces, it was Tuesday. The Council's decisive victory lasted exactly 4 hours and 37 minutes. Of the 800 ships that had attacked New Busan, fewer than 50 survived to retreat back to Council space. The human fleet lost 3 ships and suffered damage to 2 others. Admiral Kethavar, whose flagship had been destroyed, found himself a prisoner aboard Admiral Kim's command ship. The human admiral offered him coffee and a comfortable chair while they discussed the terms of his fleet's surrender. "How?" Admiral Kethavar asked simply. "How did you defeat a force 20 times larger than your own?" Admiral Kim considered the question while sipping his coffee. "You fought the way you wanted to fight. We fought the way we needed to fight. The universe doesn't care about fair or honorable. It only cares about what works." The news of the Council's defeat at New Busan spread through the galaxy at the speed of quantum communication networks. For the first time in galactic history, a Council military force had been completely destroyed by a supposedly primitive species. On Earth, Admiral Kim Do-hyun received the battle reports while eating breakfast. He read through the casualty figures and damage assessments, then filed the reports in his completed missions folder. By lunchtime, he was already planning the next phase of operations. The Galactic Council had made their move. Now it was humanity's turn. While the galaxy's news networks still reported the Council's inevitable victory, based on outdated information from the first day of the war, humanity quietly launched the largest military operation in galactic history. Every human world, from the smallest mining station to the great industrial centers, contributed to Operation Homecoming. The operation's name reflected its simple purpose: bringing Council space under proper management. General Bae Minho coordinated the assault from New Seoul Command, a fortress city built inside a hollowed-out asteroid that drifted in the space between Earth and Mars. The facility contained more military hardware than most species possessed on their homeworlds, all of it hidden inside what appeared to be a simple mining operation. "Phase 1 is complete," General Bae announced to his staff of senior officers. "The Council's first strike force has been eliminated. Phase 2 begins now. All task forces commence simultaneous operations." Across human space, fleets that the Galactic Council never knew existed began moving toward their targets. The aliens had believed humanity controlled 50 star systems. They were about to discover that humans had established settlements, mining operations, manufacturing facilities, and military bases in over 400 systems throughout the galaxy. What the Council had observed as human space was actually just the tip of an iceberg that stretched across most of the known galaxy. Lieutenant Colonel Jung Yoonji led the assault on the hegemony's most prestigious military academy, located on the fortress world of Kethmaran. The planet was surrounded by defensive satellites, protected by energy shields, and garrisoned by the Council's finest troops. It was considered absolutely impossible to attack, which was exactly why the humans attacked it first. "Attention all. Starfall units," Colonel Young broadcast to her assault force. "Mass driver launch in 30 seconds. Remember, we're not trying to be subtle anymore." The attack method was typically human. Instead of attempting to fight through the planet's defenses, they simply shot themselves at the target. 50 armored assault capsules were launched from a human ship at significant fractions of light speed. Each capsule contained a squad of human soldiers in powered armor, along with enough weapons and equipment to conquer a small city. The capsules punched through the planet's defensive shields like bullets through paper. The energy barriers were designed to stop ships and missiles, not small, incredibly fast projectiles that massed less than 10 tons each. Colonel Jung's capsule smashed into the Academy's main administration building 18 minutes after launch. She and her squad of Marines emerged from the wreckage to find alien instructors and cadets staring at them in complete shock. "Good morning," Colonel Jung said politely in perfect hegemony standard. "I am Lieutenant Colonel Jung Unji of the Human Colonial Marines. This facility is now under human protection. Please remain calm while we establish security." The Academy's commandant, a decorated general with over 2 centuries of military experience, surrendered immediately. He had never seen anything like the human assault and had no idea how to respond to enemies who treated impossible military operations as routine procedures. Across Council space, similar scenes were playing out simultaneously. Human forces appeared at military bases, government centers, and industrial facilities with the kind of precise timing that should have been impossible to coordinate across galactic distances. The Council's response fleets arrived at their bases to find human ships already in orbit, offering coffee and formal surrender documents to anyone who wanted them. Most alien commanders, trained in centuries of honorable warfare traditions, had no idea how to fight an enemy that used logistics as a weapon. Commander Ojisu oversaw the capture of the Council's primary military shipyard at Nexus Station. Her fleet of 6 human ships surrounded the massive facility, which was protected by over 100 defensive platforms and a garrison fleet of 50 warships. "Nexus Station Control, this is Commander Ojisu of the Human Colonial Navy." She broadcast on all frequencies. "We are assuming administrative control of this facility effective immediately. All personnel are advised to remain at their posts. Normal operations will continue under human management. You cannot simply take control of our largest military facility," protested Admiral Vorthak, the station commander. "We have defensive systems that can destroy your small fleet." "Admiral, please check your sensors," Commander O replied patiently. The alien admiral looked at his tactical displays and discovered that every defensive platform around the station had been simultaneously disabled by precisely targeted shots from weapons he hadn't even seen fire. His garrison fleet found their ship's engines and weapon systems mysteriously offline. "How did you do that?" Admiral Vorthak asked in bewilderment. "We've been studying your defensive systems for 150 years. Commander O explained. "We know exactly where all the critical components are located and how to disable them without causing unnecessary damage or casualties." Dr. Kim Jiwoo, humanity's leading expert on alien technology, led a team of engineers through the captured Council facilities. What they found confirmed what human intelligence had suspected for decades. The aliens built impressive technology. That was more art than engineering. "Look at this power coupling," Dr. Kim said to her assistant as they examined a Council warship's engine room. "It's beautiful, perfectly symmetrical, and completely inefficient. They could achieve the same power output with components 1/10 this size. Should we upgrade it?" asked Engineer Lee Taman. "Absolutely. Strip out all the decorative elements and replace them with functional components. We can probably triple this ship's performance while reducing its maintenance requirements by 90%. The human approach to captured alien technology was simple: keep what worked, fix what didn't, and remove anything that existed purely for aesthetic reasons. Most Council technology fell into the third category. Within 1 week of Operation Homecoming's launch, humanity controlled or occupied every major Council military installation, government facility, and industrial center. The aliens found themselves surrounded by human forces who seemed to anticipate their every move and counter every strategy before they could implement it. The Council's greatest shock came when they realized the scope of human expansion. Intelligence reports flooded in from across the galaxy showing human settlements, bases, and facilities in star systems that the aliens had never explored. Humanity hadn't just hidden their military strength. They had hidden the true size of their civilization. "How is this possible?" demanded Ambassador Veltar during an emergency council session. "Our surveys show these systems were empty. There were no signs of intelligent life." The humans are very good at being invisible when they want to be, replied Intelligence Director Kelshan grimly. They've been expanding throughout the galaxy for centuries while making sure we only saw what they wanted us to see. General Thekmore, whose confident predictions of easy victory now seemed laughably naive, studied the reports of human military capabilities with growing despair. They have more ships than we do. Their technology is more advanced than we realized. Their coordination is perfect across galactic distances. How many humans are there really? Asked Ambassador Kreshita. Our best estimate is now over 5 trillion humans spread across more than 1,000 worlds. Director Kelshan replied. We thought they were a small primitive species. They're actually one of the largest civilizations in the galaxy. The final blow to Council morale came when they discovered that human forces had been holding many of their impregnable positions for weeks before the official start of Operation Homecoming. The humans had simply walked into heavily defended facilities, taken control, and waited for orders to reveal themselves. Admiral Kim Do-yeon had anticipated the Council's strategy of consolidating their forces for a final stand. He had also anticipated where they would make that stand, and had been quietly occupying the area for 3 weeks. The Council's ultimate fortress, the Nexus Prime Defense Complex, was already under human control when the alien fleets arrived to use it as their final stronghold. The massive defensive platforms that should have protected the Council's retreat were instead operated by human crews who welcomed the alien ships with polite surrender offers. This is impossible, Admiral Kethvar said from his comfortable detention cell aboard the human flagship. How did you know where we would retreat? How did you get there first? We studied your military doctrine for 150 years, Admiral Kim replied. Your strategies are very logical and predictable. We knew exactly what you would do because you taught us yourself through your own training materials. Sedinti, counteroffensive phase of the war lasted exactly 9 days. By the end, Council space was entirely under human occupation, administered by competent human officials who seemed to have prepared for this transition years in advance. The aliens discovered that humanity didn't conquer territory, they optimized it. Supreme Commander Veltar stood in the Emergency Command Center, built deep beneath the surface of the Council's capital world, surrounded by the remaining military leaders of 12 species who were slowly realizing the true scope of their mistake. Holographic displays showed red markers across half the galaxy, each one representing a human military victory. How many ships do we have left? Veltar asked his tactical advisor. Fewer than 300 combat-capable vessels, replied General Thekmore, his earlier confidence completely gone. The humans have captured or destroyed over 2,000 of our ships in less than 2 weeks. Commander Vextal studied the tactical displays with the expression of someone trying to solve an impossible puzzle. Sir, we need to understand what we're really fighting. These aren't the primitive humans our intelligence described. This is the most advanced military force in galactic history. They knew everything about us before the war even started, added Admiral Kreshta. Our ship designs, our tactics, our strategic thinking, even our supply chains. How is that possible? What the Council leadership was finally beginning to understand was that humanity had approached their first contact with alien species like an engineering problem. They had studied, analyzed, and prepared for every possible scenario, including the one where supposedly friendly aliens eventually declared war. On Earth, Admiral Kim Do-hyun reviewed the final phase battle plans while drinking his morning coffee, in the same office where he had received the Council's war declaration 3 weeks earlier. His aide, Commander Park Soo-jin, brought him the latest status reports. All primary objectives have been achieved ahead of schedule, Commander Park reported. Council military forces are scattered and disorganized. Their command structure has been completely disrupted. Any word from Supreme Commander Veltar about surrender negotiations? Admiral Kim asked. He's refused all communication attempts, sir. Intelligence suggests he's preparing some kind of final desperate assault. Admiral Kim sighed and set down his coffee. They still don't understand. This isn't about military victory anymore. We're trying to save lives and establish stable governance. But they keep thinking like this is some kind of heroic last stand scenario. The Admiral was right. Supreme Commander Veltar was indeed planning a final, desperate assault, using the one weapon system the Council had kept hidden from human intelligence. The Planet Cracker, a massive device capable of destroying entire worlds. If we cannot defeat them militarily, we will force them to negotiate by threatening their homeworld, Veltar announced to his remaining commanders. Even humans must value their birth planet above military objectives. The Planet Cracker was the size of a small moon, powered by the combined energy output of 6 different stellar manufacturing systems. It was the Council's ultimate weapon, designed to end wars by demonstrating the complete futility of resistance. Admiral Elexmore, commanding the Council's final assault fleet, approached the Sol system with grim determination. The Planet Cracker moved slowly through space, its massive bulk requiring enormous amounts of energy to accelerate. Behind it came the last 300 ships of the Council military, crews ready to die for what they believed was their civilization's final chance. Human forces. This is Admiral Elexmore of the Galactic Council Final Fleet. He broadcast toward Earth. We possess a weapon capable of destroying your homeworld. Surrender immediately and withdraw from all Council territory, or we will demonstrate our power. The human response came from Luna Station, where Admiral Kim had moved his headquarters to better coordinate the final phase of operations. Admiral Elexmore, this is Admiral Kim Doyen of the Human Colonial Military. We have been monitoring your approach for the past 6 days. Please be advised that your weapon system poses no threat to Earth or any human world. Impossible, Admiral Elexmore replied. The Planet Cracker has the power to shatter continents and boil away oceans. No defensive system can stop it. Admiral, please observe your tactical displays. Admiral Elexmore looked at his ship's sensors and discovered something that should have been impossible. Earth was surrounded by defensive installations that hadn't been there moments before. Hundreds of weapon platforms, shield generators, and orbital defense stations had appeared, as if they had materialized out of empty space. Commander Lim So-young, director of the Solar Defense Grid, activated the systems that humanity had spent 2 centuries building and concealing throughout their home system. What Admiral Elexmore was seeing was the most comprehensive planetary defense network ever constructed. The Planet Cracker is indeed a powerful weapon, Commander Lim broadcast to the alien fleet. Unfortunately, it was designed to attack undefended worlds. Earth has not been undefended for over 300 years. The defensive demonstration that followed became legendary throughout human space. The Council's ultimate weapon fired its planet-destroying beam directly at Earth, delivering enough energy to vaporize a normal world. Earth's defensive grid absorbed the attack completely, distributed the energy through massive capacitor networks, and then redirected it back at the Planet Cracker in the form of a precisely controlled response. The alien superweapon, designed to destroy planets but never intended to defend against return fire, simply disintegrated under the power of its own redirected attack. This is impossible, Admiral Elexmore whispered as he watched humanity's defensive systems casually destroy what the Council considered their ultimate achievement. Admiral, came the patient voice of Admiral Kim from Luna Station. Your weapon was mentioned in Council military planning documents that we acquired 120 years ago. We've been preparing for this exact scenario ever since. The final battle of the war lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Council's last fleet, demoralized by the casual destruction of their superweapon and facing defensive systems that treated their ultimate attack like a minor inconvenience, surrendered en masse. Admiral Elexmore found himself aboard the same human flagship where Admiral Kethvar had been treated as an honored guest rather than a prisoner. The human hospitality was almost more disturbing than military defeat. You knew about the Planet Cracker for over a century? Admiral Elexmore asked Admiral Kim during their formal surrender ceremony. We know about all Council military assets, Admiral Kim replied calmly. Your species are excellent record keepers, and your security procedures assume that nobody would spend decades infiltrating your intelligence networks. How long have you been planning this war? We've been planning for the possibility of this war since our first contact with alien civilizations. We hoped it would never be necessary, but we prepared for it anyway. The Council's final defeat came not through dramatic military action but through simple logistics. Human supply lines kept their forces equipped and operational across galactic distances. Council forces ran out of ammunition, spare parts, and fuel because their supply networks had been designed for fighting wars close to their home bases. Colonel Park Jin-woo oversaw the integration of surrendered Council military assets into human defensive networks. The aliens had built impressive warships and powerful weapons, but they had never developed the industrial capacity to maintain them effectively during extended operations. Their technology is actually quite good, Colonel Park reported to Admiral Kim. The problem is that they built it to look impressive rather than to work efficiently. Once we strip out the decorative elements and replace them with functional components, these ships will be excellent additions to our fleet. The war officially ended when Supreme Commander Veltar finally accepted Admiral Kim's repeated offers of surrender negotiations. The meeting took place aboard the human flagship, in the same conference room where the other council leaders had been treated with courtesy and respect. "How did we lose so completely?" Veltar asked directly. "You fought the war you wanted to fight," Admiral Kim replied. "We fought the war that actually happened. You prepared for a conflict between equals. We prepared for a war against a superior enemy with better technology and greater numbers. But you were not inferior. Your technology is more advanced than ours, only because we assumed it needed to be. You built weapons to show your power. We built weapons to win wars." The final irony of the war was that it ended with the Council's territory more secure, better defended, and more efficiently managed than it had ever been under alien rule. Human administration turned out to be remarkably effective at solving the problems that had plagued Council space for centuries. The galaxy discovered that humans didn't conquer civilizations, they improved them. 6 months after the Galactic Council's declaration of war, the former Council space operated under the Human Colonial Administration with a level of efficiency that surprised everyone, including the humans who ran it. The transition from military occupation to civilian governance had been remarkably smooth, mainly because humanity had planned for post-war administration, while the aliens were still planning their inevitable victory. Administrator Shin Taekwon sat in his office in what had once been the Galactic Council's primary administrative center. The building remained the same, but everything inside it worked better than it ever had under alien management. His staff included representatives from all 12 former Council species, along with human administrators who specialized in interspecies cooperation. "The quarterly reports are very encouraging," Administrator Shin told his mixed species cabinet during their weekly meeting. "Crime rates are down 40%, trade volume has increased by 300%, and we've resolved more territorial disputes in 6 months than the old Council managed in 6 years. Ambassador Veltar, who now served as the hegemony's representative in the new government, reviewed the data with amazement. "How is this possible? We governed these same systems for centuries without achieving such results. The difference is that we focus on solving problems rather than maintaining traditions," replied Dr. Han Minji, the new director of interspecies relations. "The old Council spent most of its time on ceremonies and protocol. We spend our time on making things work." The success of human administration came from applying the same practical approach to governance that they had used in warfare. Instead of trying to maintain the old system with minor improvements, humans had completely redesigned how interstellar government functioned. Captain Yu Jung-ho, now commanding a patrol squadron that included ships from 6 different species, demonstrated the new approach to military cooperation. His flagship, the HMS Unity, was a former Council battleship that human engineers had upgraded with practical improvements. The alien design philosophy was to build ships that looked impressive, Captain Yu explained to his mixed crew during a training exercise. "We kept the good parts and replaced everything else with components that actually work." The ship's bridge, crew included humans, hegemony tactical specialists, Crystal Empire navigators, and Stonewalker engineers. The combination of different species' strengths, coordinated by human organizational methods, created military units that were more effective than anything either side had fielded during the war. Lieutenant Park Soo-jin, the ship's human communications officer, worked alongside Ensign Velkath of the Hegemony, who had expertise in quantum communication systems that complemented human real-time networks. "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal from a merchant convoy in the Outer Rim," Lieutenant Park reported. "Unknown raiders are attacking civilian ships. All species, all crew members, combat stations," Captain Yu commanded. "Let's show these raiders what proper interspecies cooperation looks like." The HMS Unity arrived at the attack site to find pirates using outdated Council military equipment to prey on merchant vessels. The raiders expected either human ships or alien ships, not a unified vessel that combined the best aspects of both civilizations' military capabilities. The pirate leader's surrender message was simple. "We had no idea you were working together. Now, we apologize for the misunderstanding." Dr. Nam Yura, now heading the Joint Human-Alien Research Council, oversaw the technological partnerships that were producing advances neither species could have achieved alone. The combination of human engineering efficiency with alien theoretical knowledge led to breakthrough discoveries almost weekly. The hegemony's quantum mathematics combined with our manufacturing techniques has produced faster-than-light communication systems that work instantly across galactic distances, Dr. Nam reported to the Science Council. The Crystal Empire's energy manipulation theories integrated with our power systems have created engines that are 50% more efficient than anything we had before. The research partnerships worked because humans approached alien knowledge the same way they approached everything else. They kept what was useful and improved what wasn't. Alien scientists appreciated working with colleagues who valued practical results over theoretical elegance. Engineer Kim Wanshik worked alongside Dr. Thelvar of the Stonewalker species to develop new construction techniques that combined human efficiency with alien durability. Their joint projects produced space stations and planetary facilities that were both functional and impressive. "Your species builds things that work," Dr. Thelvar told Engineer Kim. "Our species builds things that last. Together, we build things that work forever." The most significant change was in how the former Council species adapted to human government. Most aliens discovered they preferred administration that focused on effective services rather than ceremonial protocols and ancient traditions. Former Council members found positions in the new government based on their abilities rather than their species' traditional roles. Intelligence specialists became advisors, military officers joined integrated defense forces, and civilian administrators learned human management techniques that actually accomplished objectives. Commander O. Jisoo, now Admiral O, oversaw the integration of former Council military forces into the Human Colonial Defense Service. The new military organization kept the best aspects of both human and alien military traditions while discarding practices that served no practical purpose. "We're not trying to make aliens into humans," Admiral O explained to a gathering of former Council officers. "We're trying to make everyone more effective at their jobs. If a tradition helps accomplish the mission, we keep it. If it doesn't, we change it." The integration process was surprisingly successful because humans treated their former enemies as colleagues rather than conquered subjects. Alien military officers who had expected harsh treatment under human rule instead found themselves welcomed into professional military organizations that valued competence over politics. Colonel Lim Jinwoo, working with former Council General Kexmore, developed new training programs that combined human tactical flexibility with alien strategic thinking. The resulting military doctrine was more effective than either species had achieved independently. "The humans fight like engineers," General Kexmore observed. "They see warfare as a problem to be solved rather than a contest to be won. It's remarkably effective." The transformation of Council space became a model for how to successfully integrate different civilizations. Instead of imposing human culture on alien worlds, the new administration created systems that worked for everyone involved. The final scene of the transformation took place where it had all begun. In the former Galactic Council chambers, now converted into the Interspecies Cooperation Center. Messenger Yixtel, who had delivered the original war declaration to Admiral Kim, now served as a diplomatic liaison between different species under the new government. "I brought you a declaration of war 6 months ago," Yixtel said to Administrator Shin during a routine diplomatic meeting. Today I'm bringing you applications from 3 more civilizations who want to join the human colonial administration. Why? Do they want to join us? Administrator Shin asked. Because word has spread throughout the galaxy about how well this system works. Instead of endless debates about protocol and ancient rites, you simply solve problems and get things done. Most civilizations find this approach refreshing. The success of human administration wasn't due to superior technology or military strength, although those helped. It was due to the simple human tendency to treat complex problems as engineering challenges that could be solved through practical application of effective solutions. The former Galactic Council space had become more prosperous, more secure, and more efficiently managed under human oversight. The aliens who had declared war to prevent human expansion now actively recruited other civilizations to join the system that had replaced their old government. As Messenger Yixdel prepared to leave the meeting, he paused to ask Administrator Shin a question that had been bothering him for months. When Admiral Kim received our war declaration, he barely reacted. Did he know you would win so easily? Administrator Shin considered the question carefully. He knew that we had been preparing for this possibility for 3 centuries, while you had been assuming it would never happen. The outcome was never really in doubt, so the war was pointless? Not pointless, Administrator Shin replied. Necessary. Now everyone in the galaxy knows that cooperation works better than conquest, and that practical solutions work better than traditional ceremonies. Sometimes you have to demonstrate these truths before people will accept them. The galaxy had learned that humans didn't conquer civilizations to rule them. They conquered civilizations to improve them. And once the improvements were complete, nobody wanted to go back to the old way of doing things.